If you are someone who feels like the black sheep of your family, you constantly feel like you're on the outside looking in, you feel like you're the one that's always having to have difficult conversations, maybe you have different opinions to everybody else in your family, you've gone through trauma, whether that is chronic health issues, traumatic breakups, financial crisis, burnout, maybe periods of being disconnected from your family, friendship fallouts. Congratulations, you are the cycle breaker. For so many years, I thought that there was something wrong with me because I felt like a square peg trying to fit into a circle hole. I was like constantly trying to like make myself fit into these spaces and I just couldn't. Just feeling like my belief systems, what I wanted from life, my perspectives were just so different. And I created this narrative that there was something wrong with me and that I was broken. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I realized, okay, I'm the one that's here to break these patterns, to do things differently, to speak up about things that maybe other people wouldn't have done, to be the first woman in generations, probably ever, to want to pursue a path of self-employment and to build something, to be the outspoken, direct, loud, unfiltered woman that my ancestors probably never had the privilege of being. And if you feel this and you resonate with this too, then this video is for you, because there is nothing wrong with you and there is a way to take back your power around this so that you stop feeling like such an outsider. I think one of the most important things to remember about being a cycle breaker is that it's not all on you to do everything. This does not mean that you are responsible for changing people, for forcing them to see your point of view, for essentially healing or fixing them, right? Because most of us here have some sort of saviour complex, and in the past we've probably really tried to save people who probably didn't even want to be saved. That phrase, you can lead a horse to water but you can't make them drink it, that is key here. Your job, your purpose, your role here as a cycle breaker is to create a ripple of change by living the life the way that you want to live it. This isn't really about other people. I know it's going to be so easy to want to force all of your family into therapy or to force them to see the way that you're doing. I know I definitely had a phase where it was like I almost kind of saw myself as a little bit superior or hierarchical because I was like, well, I'm doing all this healing work and you're not doing it, and it created this huge divide. When now what I see, it's not my job to tell other people how to live their lives, because it's not for me to say that there is a right and a wrong way of living and a right and a wrong way of doing things. If we see through the lens of everybody is doing the best they can with the tools that they have and remind ourselves what a privilege it is for us to currently exist in this world as women, assuming that you are watching this from a first world country, so many of us have privileges that even our grandmothers a couple of generations ago just wouldn't have had access to. The way we dress, the way we can speak, the way that we're able to be financially independent, the way that we don't need to rely on men, like so many things have changed in the past 50 years. And we are living in a time where collectively there has been this huge spiritual awakening, especially since 2020. So many of us are waking up to different ways of being, different ways of consciousness. We now have access to more information that our parents never would have had, let alone our great-grandparents. And so this is not to excuse anyone's behavior, but if we see things through the lens of everybody is doing the best they can with the tools they have at that time, your family are doing the best with what they've got. What I've found is the most monumental change that I have seen in the people around me has come from the fact that I've made changes to myself. It all starts from within. The more that you change your internal state, the more that you look at the trauma that you hold, the belief systems that you hold, anger, the resentment, the guilt, all of those things that you harbor inside of yourself, that's the only thing that you can control. And what I found through personal experiences, the more that I let that go and the more that I forgive others and ultimately forgive myself, right? Because that's what most of it's about. Most of the shit that we carry is because we're angry or resentful at ourselves. The more that I let that go and I move through that, the more that the people around me naturally change because I'm changing. I'm no longer meeting people all the time with a wall up. I'm no longer carrying on the pattern of people pleasing and overextending myself and saying yes all the time. I'm probably the first woman ever in my family to put herself completely first. When I first got sick, and I started setting boundaries and I started saying no to things, it ruffled some feathers. People weren't used to it. That's not what women in my family do. And we can explain boundaries to people and we can sit down and communicate these things. But ultimately, the second you start doing something different, you are going to piss people off, okay? And this is the path of the cycle breaker. You are breaking generational patterns that have been embedded into your DNA. And the way you do that is by living life differently. I could never cope with the conventional path. I really tried for so hard. I got the corporate job and I got the house and I got the partner and all of this stuff. But like deep down, I was unsatisfied because that's not the path for me. And I know that you can relate to this. So you have to make bold moves. You have to take risks. Starting to show up online and creating content because I wanted to share my message and I knew deep in my bones that this was going to open up so many doors for me. And I wanted to create such a different life where I had financial freedom and I could travel and I could work the hours I want, when nobody in my family has ever done anything like this. Everybody has worked 9 to 5s. My mom and dad have been in the same careers since their early 20s, and I'm choosing to do things differently. Is it easy? Fuck no. There's no guidebook for this. Nobody hands you a manual like, here's how to break the cycles of your lineage. And that's why it can feel so confusing at times. And that's why you can feel so lost. And that's why it can cause such a disruption. Because if you think about how our subconscious brains work, we are wired for safety and familiarity. So the people in your family, the people around you, they're only going to feel safe with the known. And you come along and you want to do something completely different with your life, and you want to behave different, and you want to speak different, and you're going to therapy and you're aware of your emotions and you're into spirituality. It's threatening for people around you to witness that who are not on that path. It can genuinely feel unsafe to them on a nervous system level. And it will do for you as well, because there's this fear of like, am I going to be abandoned? Am I going to be rejected? Am I going to be outcast, right? The whole wound of being kicked out the tribe. But the thing is, if you're watching this, you know that there's no other choice. It's not like you wake up one day and say, today I've decided that I want to be the cycle breaker. It's just the gift that you have been given in this lifetime, and you're probably not seeing it as a gift. I know I didn't see it as a gift for a really long time. It felt like I was in the trenches, and I'm still in there a little bit. I'm not completely out. We go in and out of the void with this stuff, but I now see it as a gift because I think about the opportunities that generations after me are going to have. I don't even plan on having kids, but for my nieces, my nephews, the people who come into contact with me, because I'm talking directly about family, but the truth is, I think I carry this trait with me into every relationship that I have. I have a very disruptive energy, and it's not on purpose. I don't go out there like, oh, I'm going to cause a disruption, but naturally, just because I'm very reflective and I'm very observant, and I will just say things in a very unfiltered and raw and messy way, it triggers people. I hold up a mirror to people that sometimes they're not ready to see. It says in my human design, I am a 5-1 manifesting generator, that most people either judge me or idolize me. And this is something that I've experienced my whole life. People either see that I'm a self-aware person and that I'm not afraid to call out bullshit, and they put me on a pedestal. And then the second I do a slight thing wrong, they knock me off it, or people judge me straight away for it. And you're going to get that as a cycle breaker. You are going to have people be very opinionated about you. You're going to have people telling you that you're living your life wrong. You're going to have people judging you. You're going to have people tear you down. It's part of the package. But the gift of being the cycle breaker is that you are going to live life on your own terms. And that is a gift, because the alternative is you live a life that isn't aligned with your soul. In fact, it probably sucks the life out of you, whether that's the environment that you're living in, settling in relationships, working a 9 to 5 office job, which is something that you're just not interested in, not following your creative pursuits, whatever it is. I really like the phrase, and I constantly come back to this, choose your hard. I believe everything in life has some sort of sacrifice. And so if you're looking at your options here in life, you can either be the cycle breaker, and it's sticky because you have to carve your own path. You don't know what you're doing. You're often fumbling your way around in the dark. You're constantly guided by your intuition. The alternative hard is living a life that sucks the soul out of you. I don't know about you, but I would rather take the path that is unknown and know that I am being true to myself over the other path any day. Because the thing is, at some point, if you continue on this path of feeling misaligned, not following your truth, not telling people how you really feel, not following your intuition, at some point something's got to give. That's why I ended up on a 7-year chronic health journey, because I kept trying to live a life that was not for me, that was not true to me. I wasn't telling people how I was feeling. I wasn't following my passions. I was keeping quiet in relationships. I'm 34 and I've been through 3 long-term relationships. I've had 2 periods of 18-month celibacy. I honestly don't think any woman in my ancestral line has ever done that. That's not what happens. You meet someone at a young age and you get married. That's the history for my family. And so I'm not trying to break cycles by telling other people how to live their relationships and what is right or wrong. I am literally breaking cycles by just doing it differently and saying, do you know what? I could stay in this relationship forever and it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I'm also so deeply unhappy that I choose me. I plan on moving abroad, which again, as a single woman, is not an easy thing to do. I've been back in the UK for 2 years trying to get the passport to be able to move over. It's a long game. Most people would have given up by now. But I'm carving a new path by choosing to pursue it, even though there has been so many times I've just wanted to go, do you know what, maybe this isn't for me. Following your intuition and being curious and being willing to fuck around and find out over just settling for the comfortable path, doing as you're told, following what other people before you have done, that is breaking the cycle. You do not have to put this pressure on yourself to be fully healed, being the healing portal all the time, or to try and pull other people in there with you. I think one of the most healing things that I've ever done is just accept people for who they are. I tried for years to change people around me, and now the only thing I do is change myself. If someone's pissing me off, if someone's disrespecting me, I'm not wasting my energy trying to get them to see my point of view or getting them to work on themselves. That's not my business. If there's space for it, I'll express how I feel and hear them out. But the only thing I can do is focus on myself. Okay, what can I do in this scenario? Do I take space? Do I set boundaries? Do I decide to no longer have that person in my life? You have this calling and you've been given this spirit for a reason. You can handle it. You wouldn't be given it if you couldn't handle it. As much as it doesn't always feel like it, this is giving you purpose. If you didn't have this drive, if you didn't have this innate feeling, this primal instinct within you to forge this path, you would be depressed and depleted, living a life that would drive you to the brink of insanity. And so the only thing that you need to do is to figure out how to really fucking look after yourself. Every day, tuning in and asking yourself for guidance, asking your spirit guides, your ancestors to lead the way, because you are the person that your ancestors have been praying for. I always like to imagine my ancestors above. I don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell, but I imagine my ancestors above and they're like on a sofa and they're cheering me on and they're watching me because I'm doing things that they never had the privilege of being able to do. And you never know what seeds you are planting that are going to bloom later on in life just by continuing to follow your own path. You don't even really need to be thinking that far ahead right now. You just need to be putting one foot in front of the other. It's not your job to create this master plan of how everything's going to work out, because as you know, you're not God. That's not how this works. What you are here to do is every day tuning in and asking yourself, which direction do I take today? What do I need to do today? Where can I change myself rather than try and control and change the outside world today? It's probably going to reach like a giant crescendo at one point, and there's going to feel like a boom or like a rock bottom or a peak or whatever you want to call it of intensity that will shape who you are as a person. And that's usually the moment where it's like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Something's got to change. And there'll be lots of mini milestones of that over the course of your life, because this is not a one-time thing. Being the cycle breaker, there's going to be new layers coming up all the time. You're constantly evolving, you're constantly transforming. But again, it's just constantly centering yourself and bringing your attention back to yourself and what you can control and change. The mission has been handed to you, but it's not your job to figure out the end point, because your path is going to become clearer and clearer each time that you continue to wade through that fog. Everything you need, all of the strength, all of the guidance, all of the wisdom is literally within you. There are people cheering you on in realms that you can't even see right now. There is magic going on behind the scenes supporting you. To not take it so seriously, because it's so easy to want to take this so seriously and treat it like a dissertation or a thesis that you need to write and you need to work through, or a project. The only project that you need to work on is self-regulation. That void that you feel inside you, the lack of clarity, is all going to become known through this journey that you take of breaking the cycles of the generations that came before you.